Welcome to the Autism ADHD podcast. It's the place to be for neurodiversity affirming parents and professionals. I'm your host, Holly Blanc-Moses, the mom neurodivergent therapist. Here we chat about emotional regulation, mental health, social support, executive functioning, learning, and more, all aimed at empowering us to support kids and teens with compassion and understanding. I'm thrilled that you joined me today, and I've got some pretty exciting news to share with you. For those rock star therapists listening right now, I've created continuing education training that is tailor-made for you. Take a deep dive into cutting-edge strategies that you can start using today. The CEs you've wanted for so long are finally here. Go to hollyblancmoses.com/CE training and sign up. You are going to love it. The link is also available in the show notes. Now, if you are a parent or educator listening and you know a therapist or a psychologist that is passionate about supporting kids and teens, I'd greatly appreciate it if you could pass on this great news. Thanks so much again for your support, and let's get started. Welcome to the Autism ADHD podcast. I want to tell you about something that happened to me recently, something that I did not expect. Not long ago, I was in the hospital for 7 days. I'm not going to go into a lot of details today, and that might be a story for another time, but it was Crohn's related, and I had to get a couple blood transfusions. It was scary, exhausting, and overwhelming in about every possible way. Even though I was going through all of those things, something happened in the hospital that I could not stop thinking about. People asked me. That's it. That's the thing I couldn't stop thinking about. They asked me, the nurses, the nursing assistants, the doctors, they asked me questions like, would you rather have the light on or off? Are you comfortable with the temperature in here? Would you like me to change it for you? What is your pain level right now? Where do you feel the pain? Would you like a blanket? Can I get you a drink? Can I get you a snack? It sounds like those things are small, right? Do you want a blanket? What about the lights? In the middle of feeling completely out of control of my body, out of control of what was happening to me, those questions meant everything. It meant that they cared about my experience, that my comfort mattered, that having the environment match my needs mattered. I got a say in some of what was happening. In that hospital bed, I just kept thinking about how rare that is. How rarely we're invited to say, this is what I need. This is what I want. Here is what would really help me. I need your help with this. I thought about the kids and the teens that I work with. I thought about myself as a kid and my heart just sank. Heck, I thought about myself as the adult and my heart sank because we go through our entire day without being asked, especially kids. Think about what a typical day looks like for an autistic or ADHD child from the moment they wake up to the moment that they go to bed. They are just navigating environments that are not built for them. They're in classrooms where fluorescent lights are buzzing and flickering. There's sounds everywhere. They're expected to go through these chaotic hallways. They're in cafeterias that smell overwhelming and they're so loud. They're at recess, it's hot or it's cold. There's no shade, there's nowhere quiet to go. They're sitting through assemblies in really difficult gymnasiums. They're in the car after school when their nervous system has been holding it together for 6 hours, and you want to know how their day was. Here's the thing, when they say fine, we just move on. But if they say, oh, this was really hard, what often happens is they get shut down. For example, a child says, it's too loud. They're told it's not that loud. You're fine. They say these clothes are too itchy, and they're told nothing's wrong with the clothes. Just put them on. Stop complaining. They say, I don't want to go. It's just too much. We tell them, you'll be fine once you get there. Don't be dramatic. Sometimes it's not even words. It's the sigh. It's the look. It's the eye roll. That look of, here we go again. Kids, they see this. They hear it. They get it loud and clear. What that communicates is your discomfort is an inconvenience. That's what they hear. That's what they see. I know because I lived it. When I tried to communicate that something was hard for me, I was met with eye rolls, with sighs, with minimizing. Get it together. Don't be ridiculous. What I learned from that was not how to cope better. Not at all. What I learned was say you're fine because your comfort does not matter. This environment's painful, but that does not matter. We tell kids to use their words. We talk about self-advocacy. We tell them, tell us if something's bothering you. We tell them that we want to hear what they have to say. We tell them to come to us before a meltdown happens or before they get too upset. Tell us if they need something so we can help them. We ask them to advocate for themselves. But then when they do, we actually listen? That's the question that we need to sit with. This isn't about whether you want to listen. I believe that we want to listen. I believe that we care. I know that you care because you're listening to this right now. If you did not care, you wouldn't be with me in this moment. But it is in those moments when we're tired, when we're rushing, when we're juggling 1,000 things, and that's not an exaggeration. When your child or your student comes to you and says something is hard or it's too much or this is uncomfortable, what happens after that? Because if what happens next is a sigh or an eye roll or a, you'll be fine or we don't have time for this, they notice and they file it away. Eventually, they'll just stop coming to you or telling you. When a child reaches out and tells you something is hard, in whatever way they do, maybe they're in tears, maybe they're falling on the floor, maybe they're saying it's hard, and we dismiss them, this isn't just a complaint that we're ignoring. We're teaching them. We're teaching them that their experience isn't real, that no one will believe them. if they try to say what they need. We're teaching them that somehow their body is telling them the wrong thing. We're teaching them that we are not a safe person to come to. For neurodivergent kids, this is devastating because they are already working so hard to make sense out of this very confusing world. Their nervous systems are often in fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. They're already burning through energy just to exist in these environments that other kids seem to just navigate through without the pain and without the overwhelm. And when they finally say this is too much or melt down, that's not drama, that's not manipulation. That is a child who cannot hold it together any longer and is reaching out for help. When we meet them with "you're fine," that child is learning over and over again that what they need doesn't matter. So they stop telling us, they mask harder, they internalize everything, they perform, they learn to pretend they're fine. That's why we see this anxiety, the depression. We know this, that anxiety and depression are so much more likely for neurodivergent kids. That school refusal, meltdowns that seem to come out of nowhere, self-harm. They're holding it together and they don't have anything left. What do we do about this? We ask. I know it sounds simple. I know you might be thinking, Holly, that's it. That's the whole thing. I hear you, but I want to say, do not, believe me, do not underestimate how radical this is for a child or teen who has basically most of their lives felt that their experience doesn't count. When we ask, it says, I believe something is real for you. Even if I can't see it, even if I don't feel it myself, it says what you think and feel matters. It tells them that they're not a problem that needs to be managed and dealt with. We're telling them that you are a person that matters, that I care for, that I love. Here's what this looks like in real life. There's just so many examples I can go with, but when a child says, it's loud, instead of saying it's not loud, say, it may seem really loud for you. It doesn't sound loud for my ears, but that doesn't mean it's not loud for you. Would you like me to turn this down a little bit? Instead of saying those clothes are fine, you just wore them last week, maybe something like, these clothes don't seem to be working for you today. Let's find something that would feel better for you. Instead of assuming the cafeteria is fine because all the other kids are eating there, try asking, where do you feel most comfortable eating? Is it loud in the cafeteria? Many of my clients do not eat in the cafeteria. We found alternative places where they can feel more comfortable and can actually eat their lunch without feeling pain and overwhelm. Instead of telling a child what is in their IEP, asking them, what is a class that you wish you didn't have to take? What is the hardest part of this class? It would be really great if my teacher did, or my teacher stopped. We can get better at this. And now I keep coming back to that hospital visit, to lying in that bed, feeling scared and out of control, and having a nurse come in and ask, "Would you like a blanket?" It was a very big deal because it told me that I was seen, and it told me that I had some say in my experience. I had some say in my life in that moment. Even in the middle of something really hard, it mattered. Now imagine you're 8 years old, you're 12, you're 15, you're 51 like me, and you have spent your entire life having most or many of your needs dismissed, minimized, your preferences ignored, and being told what your nervous system is doing doesn't matter. Then someone comes along, a parent, a teacher, a therapist, anybody, a nurse. They stop and ask, what does that do for a child who has been waiting to be heard? It's everything. It's everything. In my early parenting years, especially when I was tired and stressed and my own nervous system was cooked, I absolutely fell into this. Come on, you can do this. Let's go. I messed this up. And you may have too. And that means that you are human. But here's what I know: every single time we ask, genuinely ask, instead of assume, every single time we pause and say, would you like this or this? Or let me know this. We strengthen our relationships with our kids, with our students, with our clients. We are building trust that we're safe for them, that we're going to actually listen. Here's what I'm going to ask you to do this week. Pick one moment, a moment where you might normally dismiss or try to push through, and instead ask. Ask your child, would you like me to help you with this? Ask your student, which part is the hardest? Ask your client, if they had a magic wand, what would they change? And then listen, just really listen. Without explaining why it shouldn't be a problem, without saying why it has to be this way, without comparing it to other kids and how they handle it. Just ask. And then really hear them. Ask and then be open to the answer. Now, when you start to do this, you may notice that they say fine or I don't care. For example, would you like the light on or off? I don't care. Doesn't matter. Or how can I help you feel more comfortable right now? I'm fine. That is an indicator that they have already been taught not to say what they need. Even if you hear, I don't know, or I don't care, you can follow up. For example, okay, I was just asking to see what would work better for you. Or I want you to feel comfortable, so I wanted to see what you would prefer. When you consistently do this, they will see that you do care about what they have to say. They don't have to say fine. they're safe to say when they're not fine. Because we don't want them to become adults who say they're fine and pretend they're okay and mask up. We want them to be safe to say what they need, because this impacts everything. It impacts their future friendships, the friendships they have now. It impacts their safety, their basic safety. It impacts their future romantic relationships. It impacts their work in the future. And maybe you needed to hear this for yourself, because I know I did. Because when I got home, I got eye rolls and sighs, and it was a stark difference. And I don't want that. I don't want that in my life. I don't want that in yours. I don't want that for your kids, your students, or your clients. We don't want them to pretend. We want them to know that they can advocate for what they want and what they need. If this episode spoke to you in some way, please share it with a parent, a teacher, a therapist. If you feel led, if the podcast has helped you, I would greatly appreciate it if you took the time to give it a 5-star review. Someone had listened to the last episode I did, where I talked about my health journey and how difficult that was for me to share. And when I saw this person's review, it was completely worth it. The review was, "Love to Holly. Thank you for sharing your personal story and bringing us all closer. This resonated so deeply, and your highlighting of the patterns faced by neurodivergent humans is so powerful and strengthening to us. Already love this podcast and sending so much love to you too." Thank you so much. It means everything to me. And I'll see you in the next episode. Take care. If you found this podcast helpful, I greatly appreciate it if you could take a second to give it a 5-star review. With your positive feedback, I can continue bringing you free, valuable information. As an extra thanks to you, there are special gifts waiting for you in the show notes. You'll find links to free resources on supporting neurodivergent kids and teens, so come on down to the show notes and get your free resources. Take care, and I look forward to seeing you next time.
All content provided is protected under applicable copyright, patent, trademark, and other proprietary rights. All content is provided for informational and educational purposes only. No content is intended to be a substitute for professional medical or psychological diagnosis, advice, or treatment. Information provided does not create an agreement for service between Holly Blanc-Moses Crossvine Clinical Group, the interviewee, Holly Blanc-Moses LLC, and the recipient. Consult your physician regarding the applicability of any opinions or recommendations with respect to your symptoms or medical condition, or the symptoms or medical condition of your family member. Children or adults who show signs of dangerous behavior toward themselves and or others should be placed immediately under the care of a qualified professional.